Stranger Things finally showed us the truth about Henry Creel and the Mind Flayer. It's way crazier than any of us thought, and they're both just as cruel as each other. So let's break it down. So Henry Creel has always been treated like the obvious answer to one big question, which is who is really in charge of the Upside Down? For a long time, it was easy to believe the Mind Flayer was either Henry's weapon, Henry's creation, or something he simply learned to control. The final episode adds a key fact that changes how that relationship needs to be understood. It lays out a direct moment of contact, it explains who spoke first, and it makes it clear that Henry was not the only one shaping the plan. The biggest change comes from what Henry himself reveals about the start of that connection. He doesn't tell us verbally, but shows us through his memories. After being shot at by a scientist in the cave, Henry ends up with the dude's briefcase. Inside it is a strange stone, that looks like a meteorite, something otherworldly and strange. Henry picks it up and immediately hears a voice. It is a clear, deep, and gravelly voice that matches the one associated with Vecna, but something's different. That voice tells Henry to find it, and at the same time, Henry gets a vision of the abyss. The episode then shows us that this voice belongs to the Mind Flayer. That detail separates two things that were often blended together. Henry's voice and presence have been linked to Vecna's identity, but the final episode shows the Mind Flayer can speak into Henry's mind in a way that feels personal, specific, and commanding. Henry is not simply discovering the Upside Down and deciding to lead it. Henry is being contacted and pushed in a certain direction by something far more powerful than we thought. The Mind Flayer is not silent in this relationship. It's not just an accessory, it speaks, and it makes the first move in a way Henry cannot ignore, burning the essence of the stone into him, giving him the mark of Vecna. From there, the episode gives the most important line for understanding the power dynamic. It is revealed that Henry is not the mastermind like we all thought. When we saw Demogorgons bowing to him at the start of the season, we all assumed that it meant Vecna was the king of the Upside Down. But we were wrong. The Mind Flayer used Henry's young mind and made him believe the world is broken and needs to be destroyed. That doesn't mean that Henry was forced like a puppet, but it also doesn't mean that Henry was fully innocent and had no part in what came next. This tells us that the Mind Flayer used what was already there, something already within Henry, a mind that was young, vulnerable to influence, and able to be shaped. The Mind Flayer did not have to build Henry from nothing. It only had to steer him in a destructive direction. The Mind Flayer, rather than corrupting Henry and making him a slave, gives Henry a belief system, and it gives him a simple conclusion to follow. The world is broken, so it should be destroyed. That message is simple, it's easy to hold on to, and it gives Henry a reason to stop questioning. Once that idea is planted, Henry's choices can follow it without needing constant instruction, because Henry will think the instruction is his own. But the episode doesn't end the explanation there. It adds a second piece of detail that is just as important. Henry chose to join forces with the Mind Flayer, leading to them depending on each other. This is where the relationship becomes two-sided. The Mind Flayer used Henry, but Henry also accepted it. Henry is not described as someone who had no agency. He is shown as someone who made a choice to become part of something bigger out of hatred and fear, and to get something out of it in return. Rather than a master and slave dynamic, they embraced one another to reach their goals, and one can't succeed without the help of the other. This is why, when he takes on the form of Vecna, Henry speaks with the Mind Flayer's voice. Once Henry reveals that he chose to work alongside the Mind Flayer, rather than become a slave to it, the Abyss Layer comes to life as a physical embodiment of the Mind Flayer, and Henry states that they are now one. He says that one of them cannot act or exist without the other. They forged a combined system where each side provides something the other side cannot fully replace, meaning that only together can they destroy the world. The finale then proves that this connection is real by showing what happens when the Mind Flayer is disrupted. During the final fight, Nancy shoots the Mind Flayer to distract it. The immediate result is not only damage to the creature, but something happens to Henry too. Because of the deep connection between the Mind Flayer and Vecna, Vecna loses his focus during his fight with Eleven whenever the Mind Flayer's physical form is attacked. That's one of the most crucial pieces of evidence in the entire episode. It means the connection is not just emotional or symbolic, it's physically binding. What happens to the Mind Flayer affects Henry's ability to perform in real time. Weakening or harming the Mind Flayer is also weakening and harming Henry. As soon as Vecna loses focus during his fight, the rest of the group reacts fast and with deadly precision. The crew goes crazy with guns, flamethrowers, and spears, trying to damage the Mind Flayer as much as possible to give 11 the best chance possible of beating Vecna. And the episode shows that is exactly what happens. As the Mind Flayer is damaged, Vecna weakens to the point that he becomes extremely vulnerable. Things that originally wouldn't bother him are now major wounds. His normal defenses, physical or mental, are not holding together like they once were. It means openings appear where there were none earlier. It means the fight stops being a stalemate and starts becoming something the group can actually finish. This is where Will's role becomes absolutely huge thanks to the hive mind connection. Will is able to jack into Vecna's mind and not only stop his assault against 11 but also tear off his arm, leaving him extremely weak and unable to defend himself. This act opens Vecna up for 11 to push him into a spike. The sequence of events here really shows us that the strong bong Henry made ended up being a weakness. The Mind Flayer is distracted and attacked, unable to defend itself due to its huge size. While Vecna's focus breaks, he gets weakened, and his own victim, Will, uses the hive mind link to remove a major part of Vecna's body, and then 11 uses the moment to force a final injury. None of that could have worked if Vecna was acting alone. His evil connection was the thing that allows his own death to take place. Then the final consequence of that connection lands. This whole battle causes the Mind Flayer to collapse, and it appears that its influence is gone for good, because the strange flesh inside Vecna's lair goes hard and stops beating. It looks as if the heart of the Mind Flayer and Henry's powers has stopped beating. While many fans may overlook it, that detail is extremely important because it ties the lair itself to the Mind Flayer's life and influence. The lair is not just a location. This whole time, Vecna's lair has been a part of the living system of the Mind Flayer. Every time Vecna has been resting in his lair, he's actually been wrapped in the Mind Flayer's embrace. If the flesh stops beating, it suggests whatever was animating it is no longer active. It suggests the network that connected these threats is shutting down at the source. The Mind Flayer and Vecna's powers are forever eradicated. At that point, the episode brings the human cost back into focus. While the crew frees the kidnapped children from the organic tubes Vecna had hooked them up to, they all hear Henry here, gurgling and struggling to breathe. That moment reinforces that his body is now in a failing state. The system that kept him strong has collapsed. His control is gone, his support is gone, and now he is reduced to a body that can die like any other, choking on his own blood like a mere human rather than a demonic king. The crew all slowly approach him, and Joyce Byers finishes him off with an axe, finally bringing her family's story with Henry Creel to an end after so many painful years. Whether someone sees that as justice, closure, or survival, the narrative importance is clear. Henry's threat is ended once and for all, and because the Mind Flayer's influence collapses alongside him, the episode is confirming the claim Henry made earlier. One cannot act or exist without the other. When the group manages to break the Mind Flayer enough, Henry becomes easily killable. When Henry is killed, the Mind Flayer does not continue with a new plan. It collapses and can never rise again. So the real connection between the Mind Flayer and Vecna is not as simple as we all imagined, with one of them controlling the other. It's instead far more intricate, and that's exactly why the final fight can be won at all. Henry and the Mind Flayer formed a shared existence early on, starting with direct contact through that meteor-like stone, continuing through manipulation of Henry's young beliefs, and then solidifying through a chosen partnership. By the end, the show treats them as a combined threat, where harm to one weakens the other, and the end of one brings the end of the other. It also reframes what mastermind means in this story. If Henry is not the mastermind, then the driving force is not only human ambition or human hatred. The Mind Flayer is the force that saw Henry as usable, spoke to him, and shaped his beliefs into a mission. Henry still matters because he accepted it and because the Mind Flayer and Henry end up depending on each other. But the root influence comes from the Mind Flayer's ability to enter and guide a young mind at the right moment. At the same time, though, the show does not remove Henry's responsibility. The final episode is clear that Henry chose to join forces and knew what he was doing. That choice is what turns manipulation into a sinister partnership. It's what turns a voice in Henry's head into a shared plan to destroy the world for its perceived wrongdoing. The Mind Flayer may have used Henry at first, but Henry did not reject it. Henry joined it, fueled it, and the result is the Vecna the group has been fighting this whole time. It also makes sense in terms of why Henry goes for kids to power his takeover of the real world. He was a kid himself when the Mind Flayer reached out, so he knows firsthand how easy and tempting it can be to embrace that power and turn your back on the world. But, as it turns out, his underestimation of the Hawkins kids is exactly what led to his downfall, since Will, the first child he ever kidnapped, was key to his death. So what do you think of their connection? Do you think the Duffers did a good job of explaining things, or do you think this was a letdown after 10 years of waiting? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more Stranger Things content and theories, click the video on screen now.